Retro Gnome.
Today's show is brought to you by the folks over at our Patreon, including our two newest patrons, Marie and Alex. Thank you to all of our patrons for helping keep the lights on the Animanicast. And if you would like to become a patron, head on over to patreon.com/Animanicast. You'll get exclusive audio from the show, including Creators Commentary Series with the creator of Animaniacs, Tom Ruger. You'll be able to find out exclusive stuff you won't hear anywhere else, and plus you'll have a really good time. It's all over at patreon.com/Animanicast, and thanks again to our patrons. And welcome everybody to another episode of the Animanicast.
I haven't had cheesecake in quite some time. I switched to protein pellets years ago for maximum efficiency. Also, there's no food in the future, only dust.
Narbo, slow down. You're going to eat the plate. And trust me, plates do not taste good. Now, foam insulation, on the other hand,
Pinky, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
I think so, future brain. But if you're really from the future, don't you already know that I'm not?
Welcome everybody once again to the Animanicast. This is the podcast that is dedicated to the animated television series Animaniacs, as well as other shows in the Rugerverse, such as Tiny Toon Adventures, Pinky and the Brain, and Freakazoid. And today, we're going to be talking about episode 9 of the Animaniacs Reboot. That's right, we're going to be talking about all the cultural references and gags that we can find, and of course, in the end, we're going to give this episode a Water Tower rating. I am Joey, and joining me once again is my brother Nathan.
That's not the issue.
Okay, and across the country in Georgia, it's Kelly.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. Well, yes, it's the issue for today is episode 9. Of the Animaniacs Reboot. It has a few segments, a little bit more than the typical 3 that we're used to. It has, in fact, one additional segment, I guess, that we're used to. Whatever. Here Comes Treble. That's Not the Issue. Future Brain, and the Incredible Gnome in People's Mouths. And if someone were to ask you about this episode in just a few words, what would you tell them, Nathan?
There's like Terminator and some other. There's music. I don't know. It's a whole bunch of things happening.
And Kelly, what about you?
They had a scene at the Oscars, and they didn't even include Steven Spielberg.
They had the perfect opportunity to. I mean, they already have a model, a caricature ready to go of him. Missed opportunity. Oh well. Well. Of course, we all know that this episode, along with all the other episodes in the first season of the Animaniacs Reboot, premiered on November 20th of 2020, the greatest year our planet has ever seen. Nathan, why don't you tell us what happened? What's our November? Wait, what am I saying? It's been a couple weeks since I've asked this. Nathan, you got to hit us with the November 20th trivia theme song.
Remember, November 20th. Yeah.
Very good. It's short and sweet. Nathan, what's our November 20th trivia? What happened?
Here's there's some music in this episode, so we'll do some more music things. We got in 2008, Ashley Simpson and Pete Wentz from Fall Out Boy welcome a baby boy, Bronx Mogul Wentz.
And he just fell out.
Yeah, welcome. In 1976, Paul Simon was on Saturday Night Live, and he got to sing with George Harrison, Homeward Bound and Here Comes the Sun. There was even at the beginning, George Harrison's asking for $3,000 or something. It's a weird, I don't know what's happening.
Oh yeah,
there,
I think there was the thing. I don't know. Oh yeah, that's right. Background to that. Lorne Michaels said that he would give $3,000 for the Beatles to something
reunite.
Like that, to reunite.
So only George Harrison showed up, and he sang with Paul Simon. He's like, so how much of that money do I get? So it was a little funny little thing. And then in 2016, Ariana Grande won Artist of the Year. Justin Bieber also won a bunch of trophies, like 4 trophies. So yeah, that was our music in November 20th. There you go.
Very good. Because we have a music, thing to talk about here. This is, let's go ahead and start off with our first musical part, which is Here Comes Treble. And Here Comes Treble was written by Kathleen Chen and Brian Polk, and it was directed by Brett Varon. Nathan, why don't you tell us what happens here in Here Comes Treble?
Oh, man. All right. Well, we got some lovely music. Turkey in the Straw is playing, and then we see the Warners come out of a barn, and they're kind of dancing around, but then the music kind of messes up, and it's like, hey, what's going on? So then they got to redo it. And then the music messes up again, so they got to redo it again. And then they mess, so...
Sorry, once more until we get it right.
Excuse me, buddy. It is Buddy, isn't it? Is there any way to speed this up?
Yeah, I've got lunch plans. I plan to eat a whole Thanksgiving pizza.
Who said you 3 could break the fourth wall and ruin my creative process?
Who said waving your arms around is considered a creative process?
There you go, baby.
Now they're like, hey, can you guys play the music right? And then the conductor's like, hey, we are having to play these children's song all the time when we are classically trained orchestra players. We should be playing much better songs. And they're like, yeah, well, we'll believe it when we hear it. So then the conductor starts playing like the mountain. I forget what the song's called, but and then they do a whole like Fantasia mopping scene, and there's a bunch of Warners now. They're all really depressed because they're all mopping, and they don't.
It was in the Hall of the Mountain King.
Yeah, which is a very fun song. And it always reminds me of like Rat Race or something. Because I think they always play it in those kinds of movies. Where,
yeah,
like, things are progressively.
And you don't want to pay anybody.
Yeah, and things are where things are escalating. So it's a nice escalating song because it starts off like
that too.
Yeah. But by the end of the song, as I was saying, there's a bunch of Warners. They actually get pushed out of the screen, so they decide to start pulling more Warners out of the screen. So now we've got and they start take over all the instruments
because the Warners start duplicating for some magical reason.
Well, it was because of in the song for some reason in the Hall of the Mountain King, it caused them to duplicate. Because, in Fantasia.
In the original Fantasia, it references the brooms duplicate. So in this one,
it was all the Warners duplicate. So at this point, they're playing the Dance of the Comedians is what he's playing. So we get to hear all the... and then the Warners are actually playing all the instruments. And by the time the conductor realizes the Warners switches music out again, and now he has to play the 1812 Overture. And of course there's like cannons in that, and finally they with one last cannon shot or something, he gets knocked into the screen himself. So now it's the conductor that has to dance along to Turkey in the Straw and play a little jug, and he cries, and that's how it ends.
Yeah, he has to it's kind of weird. He's like kind of being forced to dance. Like he doesn't even, his body is kind of moving. Yeah, which was kind of cool to see. It was neat animation right there. But yeah, I guess the main reference was to, they had the music that was playing.
Yeah, I like that they wrote out what each song was too.
Right, identified it
as you're watching it, so you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, so I guess the main reference obviously is to the music. I was a little disappointed they didn't have Nivel Nose Nest or Steve and Julie Bernstein or something like that in somewhere as caricatures in this, but
another missed opportunity.
Yeah, but it is what it is, and I was smiling throughout this one. I think we should mention that Turkey in the Straw was actually also, we were just doing our creators commentary over at Patreon, patreon.com/Animanicast.
Ooh.
And we were doing that with Tom Ruger. And Tom had pointed out that in Taming of the Screwy, when the Warners take over the band instrument and they start playing Turkey in the Straw, and he was saying that that's actually kind of a reference to Steamboat Willie, where, you know, that song is played a lot. So it's kind of cool to see that that song come back again. It's a very good cartoony song. It's played a lot in a lot of classic cartoons, and of course Animaniacs as well. Mm-hmm. So anyway, but what did you guys think about this first segment? Let's start with you, Kelly.
It's boring. You know, I've said before, you know, even with the original Animaniacs, my not favorite episodes are usually ones without dialogue. Because one of the things I love about the show the most is the witty dialogue.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a writer.
Mm-hmm.
I can appreciate good writing. And I've seen Fantasia, and it bores me.
Yeah, it is a very boring Disney
so
film.
A parody of Fantasia is not that interesting. So I watched it, and I kept hoping, well, maybe there's like a big punchline or something will happen, or something will happen. And I mean, the visuals were cool, and I can appreciate the nod to a Disney film, but not my favorite Disney film. So,
well, compare this to The Brain's Apprentice. Remember The Brain's Apprentice?
And I did remember that, and I liked that better.
Yeah.
You know, it didn't have a lot of dialogue either, so I don't know.
I think it had even less dialogue.
Yeah,
I don't think it had any.
Can't remember why I liked it more. I mean, it wasn't my favorite Pinky and the Brain, but I don't know. I felt like maybe the animation, because that had like little robots or something in it, didn't it?
Yeah, and they actually took over the world. Oh.
And it was kind of interesting, and it sort of told a story throughout. And I don't know, this felt a little more disjointed to me. And I don't know.
Yeah, it didn't. I smiled in it, but yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, it wasn't. I wasn't like laughing or anything. I was just kind of like, okay, you know, like, this is nice.
Yeah, I thought it was just kind of like a nice, enjoyable thing. I didn't think it was particularly funny, but I was like, oh, this is just some like nice music I can listen to.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed that the music itself, though, it didn't really do any of the typical things that music does on Animaniacs, where it's like you take the classic music, but then punctuate the action more. The action was going. How am I trying to say this? The action was kind of based upon the music instead of the music kind of changing to fit the action. Does that make any sense? Like when they're packing up all the musicians and getting rid of them.
Yeah.
It seems like the music itself was just, it wasn't accentuated as much as it could have been in certain points. Like, it just kind of felt like, okay, they're just playing the 1812 Overture, which of course is a very big song to begin with. But I wish they could have been a little bit more something to it. It just didn't. It just kind of. It was. I kind of liked the concept, but it didn't really go anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it just kind of fell flat, I think. And I think that's the issue I have with a lot of these segments in today's episode, is that the concept itself is like, okay, that's pretty good, and it just doesn't really hit the landing. You know, it just kind of does it, and yeah, kind of. All right, well, do we have anything else to say here on the first segment?
I wish there was more references to things. No. I also wanted it to be Nival Nose Nest, I guess, but
whatever happened in Nival Nose Nest?
I know, it's a nice, like, cool question. But.
But the 1812 Overture, one last thing, it reminded me of the Muppets, which I'm very excited the Muppets are coming back to Disney Plus. 5 seasons.
I'm very excited.
So that's next month. So that's something to look forward to.
Which is like in 2 days.
Yes, exactly. Well, anyway, let's go ahead and get to our next segment, which, of course, is another political one, sort of. It's called That's Not the Issue.
Welcome back to That's Not the Issue. I'm your host, Tuck Buckerson. That's the sugar honey iced tea, baby.
And That's Not the Issue was written by Ben Warheit. The teleplay was by Brad DePrima, and it was directed by Brett Barron. And basically, this is faux news, where it's Tuck Buckerson, who's the caricature of what's this guy's name? I had his name before. It's
Tuck Carlson.
It's not
Tucker Carlson.
Tucker
Carlson. Yeah. Tucker Carlson, who is not a very funny person in real life. Kind of an infuriating person to me in real life. But in this case, he has the Warners on, and he keeps asking them to come up with an issue, and the Warners give him very silly answers each time. Dot starts making the moves on him, which, come on, Dot, you can do so much better. I know she was just kind of playing around with him, not really serious, but still. At any rate, they kind of just drive him crazy, and they do what they did to Dr. Scratch and Sniff. He pulls out his hair, and he ends the show by saying something very embarrassing on the cue cards.
Show's over! I'm Dub Truckerson, and I'm a giant baby who wears ladybug diapers. Wait, that's not the line!
And I think that's pretty much it, right? That's
it. The Warners fly off in a rocket
they press the button because Tuck keeps pressing this little button whenever he gets frustrated or he wants to move on to the next topic. He keeps showing these America graphics.
And it says his name in the clouds written by jets. Because
it makes him look cool or something. But that's basically it. I mean, it's the Warners driving somebody crazy. I was a little disappointed that this couldn't have been a little bit longer of a segment. I think this is one of the first times in the reboot that they actually did something kind of similar to Broadcast Nuisance. Even though the anchor in Broadcast Nuisance, I don't know if he necessarily had it coming. That's a whole other issue. With this one, it's like they could have dedicated a full length episode to it. Instead, it was just like a minute or two of them driving him crazy.
Well, even with the brevity of the segment, they did like the plane zooming by and the American flag like 3 different times, and that felt like filler.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I needed it to be much longer. So I thought it was the perfect length.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I wish they had some setup to this, like of them going to the news studio or something like that to make them, to show why they would want to drive this man crazy.
I think it's clear from his personality. I'm happy to drive him crazy.
Self-explanatory.
Yeah. I'm like, I need no explanation. Drive him crazy. Go at it.
Yeah. So anyway, this was, there was some, were there any moments in this that made you smile, laugh, anything like that?
I liked when Wacko talked about his issue was he only gets one meatball and pescetti.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was cute.
That's not the issue. I'm tired of only getting one meatball with my pescetti and meatballs. More meatballs in pescetti. That's the issue.
That's not the issue. Tomatoes are the issue. Are they a fruit, a vegetable, or a deep state agent working for the CIA?
Nathan, what about you?
I liked on the bottom it would say, like, whoever's like in the back, they're writing down like all these different issues. Like, is that the issue? Do we need a vending machines in the lobby? ? Like, so
yeah, they're trying to quickly exactly.
Yeah,
the same thing that really happens in real news is that they put these little captions at the bottom really quickly. Yes, that was kind of cool. I mean,
and then when he says he's dump Chuckerson or something, I don't know, and then he's wearing a diaper.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That was, like Anchorman, sort of.
Yeah.
But, anyway, the part I liked was probably the part where Dot was saying, are we going to go to your house or my house, or go to my parents' house for Christmas and stuff like that. I thought that was kind of cute.
Or should we go to Paris? Yeah.
That's not the issue. The issue is where are we spending Christmas? I know you promised your mother we'd go to her place, but I was thinking Paris.
Yeah, like I said, it was there. Didn't upset me or anything like that, but I just didn't necessarily find it as funny as I wish I did. But it was fine. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the Pinky and the Brain segment for today's episode. That is called Future Brain. And Future Brain was written by Kathleen Chen and Brian Polk, and it was directed by Brett Varon. And Kelly, why don't you tell us what happens here in Future Brain?
Well, Pinky and the Brain are going to the Academy Awards, and the Brain has directed and I think also written a movie that's been nominated, and who knew that he could make a movie? And but it's all part of his nefarious scheme to shoot a immobilization ray from the stage to kidnap the Hollywood elites. But they're driving. Pinky's the chauffeur, or so we thought, because I guess it really turns out to be Future Brain, who looks like the Terminator. He's got like half a bionic face.
A cool scar.
Yes.
Yeah.
That only gets infected sometimes.
And so he's tied up, Pinky, and he says, come with me if you actually want to take over the world, which of course is another reference to Terminator. Come with me if you want to live.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
Did Arnold Schwarzenegger just walk into the room?
Haha, it's funny. It's not that.
We should have an interview with Arnold Schwarzenegger instead of Harrison Ford.
Can you do his voice really well?
Who, Harrison Ford?
No, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Do you do
No,
a Schwarzenegger
I wish
impersonation?
I could.
No, but we just had him in here, so.
No, I think he's over at your house.
Anyway, with a Southern accent.
Yeah.
So Pinky is, he's not too bothered because he says that the ropes feel like a slightly chafing big hug.
I demand that you untie my friend immediately.
Oh, don't worry about me, Brain. It's like these ropes are giving me a slightly chafing big hug. Nerve.
So they finally untie him, and he's making no-bake cheesecake. And he's so befuddled by the fact that there's two brains. And he's like, there's two brains, and now my brain hurts. Am I brain? And, he's having this, I think you could call it an existential crisis.
Yes.
So Future Brain tells Present Brain that Pinky is the real problem, and that he's betrayed him at every turn, and he's got to get rid of him. And Brain, just doesn't understand it. And at first he doesn't even believe that this guy's from the future. And he tells them that the tennis ball has a defective battery because Pinky chews on it.
I know the course of future events. Hey, be careful. That's a self-steering elastomeric tennis ball that you plan to use at Wimbledon to kidnap the royal family. You've been working on it for months, but you'll never perfect it because the battery is faulty. That's impossible. I installed it myself. Yes, but Pinky chews the battery every night because it, quote, tickles his teeth like a tinfoil sandwich. La, la, la.
Hey, Dad, did somebody just say tinfoil sandwiches? Just like Mother used to make. La, la, la.
Pinky's just sort of minding his own business and making the cheesecake. And Future Brain loves the cheesecake. Apparently, in the future, there's only like dust or whatever to eat. So they don't have good food. And then Pinky is having another existential crisis.
Hey, Gad, it sure is strange to see two brains at once. It's like looking in a mirror, but not really because I don't see my own reflection. Zoink, Brain! Does that mean I'm a vampire?
So it's been 5 hours since the Oscar ceremony began, and so that means that the show should be halfway over, which is funny because it's really long.
You're choosing a blithering idiot over a version of you with a scar, which we both know looks pretty cool and only gets infected sometimes. Ugh, foul. Quickly, Pinky. We must return to Hollywood at once.
Brain! Tell us about your portal. Who's it by?
Now Pinky's going to replace the winning envelope of the movie with Brain's movie. And so he sneaks in and slides the envelope into the stack, gets past the guards and everything. And he ends up asking Brain, he's like, well, I say envelope and you say envelope, and how do you say, what was the other word he mentioned? It wasn't tomato.
Oyster or oyster.
Yeah. So Brain's like, whatever.
There's a lot of people here. And now, the nominees: Gun, Smash, Scream by Catherine Bigelow.
The Englishman's Wife Ghost by Netflix algorithm UZ1165. And finally, A Beautiful Brain by The Brain.
I don't know who's actually reading out the winners. I thought at first it might be Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman.
I think it's definitely Tom Cruise
with a replacement Nicole Kidman,
and then Nicole Kidman. I put a question mark after because I was like,
I think it was supposed to be Nicole Kidman, but they had gotten divorced or separated
a
long time ago, and it doesn't even really look that much like her. But it looked like just generic woman.
Yeah.
Like, if she wasn't with Tom Cruise, I would be like, I don't know.
Well, Why do a caricature of just Tom Cruise when you could do both him and some, a different celebrity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she has red hair, and Nicole Kidman had red hair when they were dating. I don't know.
Yeah.
She sometimes has red hair now.
Yeah. So that was weird. And, like I said, they didn't have Spielberg. They did some shots of the audience. They really lost the opportunity to do a lot of caricatures and, make a lot of like funny little visual gags and stuff. Most of the characters were just random people. And, but anyway, so they announced the winner and they start reading out a recipe because Pinky had accidentally put the cheesecake recipe in the envelope, whichever. And, Brain was like, don't do anything rash. And Pinky said, yes, as I have no itch ointment. But anyway, Pinky ends up getting the ray gun, and he doesn't know which brain to shoot, and he's still really confused, and he ends up just shooting it up in the air, and it creates all these random portals, and so Future Brain gets sucked into one of the portals, and he reaches out and tries to grab Present Brain, and Pinky pulls him back, and Future Brain ends up being put like 420 million years ago into the past. So I don't know what dinosaur period that was, or it might even be pre-dinosaurs. They had some weird looking fish thing that walked that he said he was going to call Blinky.
How do you feel about taking over the world, fish friend? I shall call you Blinky.
And that's kind of about it.
Yes, that was. Well, yes. So, will we see Future Brain again?
In the future?
In the future? He's in the past.
Or in the past? Oh my gosh. I don't know. This is too confusing.
I think the chances of him reappearing are pretty good. But we shall see. We shall see. I wanted to go ahead and show Nathan and Kelly something which I guess everyone else won't be able to see. But I'm gonna share my screen because there's a part right here where the Pinky is he doesn't know which brain to shoot, right? And so he shoots the little portal.
So shooting in the air.
Air. And I knew what that was right away. It's
Hot
a reference.
Fuzz.
No, well, maybe. Which Hot Fuzz could have been referencing this.
They definitely do.
It's from Point Break. So look at this. So you have Keanu and doesn't know whether to shoot Patrick Swayze or not. And he lets him go over the fence. And then Patrick Swayze gets away. Ronald Reagan mask and all.
I thought Point Break was about surfing. Is that
it? It is in part.
That wasn't surfing.
That was not.
Well, they do surf in it. I've never seen the movie, so it's fine.
I haven't either. Obviously,
it's about a lot of things. It's about surfing, and it's about bank robbing and undercover FBI agent.
Oh wow!
It's
I thought it was a buddy movie about surfing.
It is. It is. Keanu's he for some reason he becomes friends with the one person he's trying to investigate, and he really likes him. because it's like a bromance movie, but there is also a girl, so it is a romance movie. But I don't know. It's a little bit of everything, and it's actually a bad movie. But my wife really likes it.
movie.
Oh no, I got a friend who I think it's his favorite movie ever.
Oh, it's pretty bad. I was talking with my wife about Patrick Swayze. Other than Ghost, I don't know if Patrick Swayze's really been in any really, I would say you could classify as quote unquote good movies. Because we just saw Red Dawn for the first time. Boy, oh boy, that movie's bad. Well, I had never seen it before, but we saw the Riff Tracks version of it the other day, and boy, oh boy, it's long too. It's like 2.5 hours. Anyway, let's stop talking about Patrick Swayze. Let's talk about Pinky and the Brain. I guess they had the celebrity references and the movie references, but what other kinds of things like that did you guys like, or perhaps notice as another reference in this Pinky and the Brain segment? Nathan, let's start with you.
Beautiful Brain. It's a parody of A Beautiful Mind, which won Best Picture in 2002. It's a thing. I like. I like when Pinky doesn't know which brain to shoot, and they're both like, "It's so obvious." And then even the brain that, obviously he wouldn't want to get shot, but he's like, "Obviously, yes, I have this cool scar." Like,
yeah, I did like how the future brain had a deeper, almost robotic voice, which was kind of cool. It was a little slight, slight difference in their voice.
I like they had Catherine Bigelow, right? They had a caricature of her because it was her movie that was called Gun Smash Scream, which I think was a parody of Hurt Locker, maybe.
Oh yeah, that must have been it. Yes,
because there was a bomb in it.
Yeah. Yeah, Hurt Locker. Boy, oh boy. That was kind of a depressing film. Almost any film that deals with war, though, is kind of going to be a depressing film. You know?
Yeah. They kind of allude to Pinky being a genius in this segment.
They did. And and with kind of like the brain saying, like, no, he's actually secretly the genius.
Yeah, he's always, he's master. Yeah, he's got you bugged on something. But
yeah, he doesn't come out and say that.
No,
he just says, he's trying to, foil your plans. Don't you see it?
He's simply a simple simpleton. You don't know who Pinky truly is. Pinky has betrayed me at every turn. How else can you explain our never-ending string of failures? That's why I traveled back in time. We must get rid of Pinky before it's too late.
I don't know. Kelly, what did you think about this Pinky and the Brain segment?
I thought it was cute. I liked the future brain, the way he looked. I love the fact that they did a thing with the Oscars. Like I said, I'm upset they didn't even have Spielberg in the audience, because part of the reason I watch the Oscars is just to see Spielberg, whether he's nominated or not. I don't care. I mean, I do care. I get mad when he's not nominated, but sometimes you just can't help it because maybe he didn't have a movie that year.
But he still should be nominated.
I mean, yeah. Let's.
I also like when Pinky snuck in. I just remembered when he has to put the envelope into the basket. So he's jumping around all these things, and then the final thing is these two guards are standing in front. So what he does, he just walks casually and waves at them, and then the guards just kind of shrug and
yeah.
The one little moment that I liked about that was when Pinky put it in his mouth and ran like an actual mouse, which we never really see them do that, So that was just interesting to see. Like, that's new. At any rate, it was some cute stuff here. I'm a little concerned with, again, how they're kind of telegraphing the direction that the brain is going. We just had this episode where he electrocutes Julia and really doesn't seem like he's in character. He seems much more villainous and almost Stewie Griffinish in some ways than he's ever been before. And again, here we are kind of doing Stewie Griffin / Rick and Morty kind of stuff with teleportation guns and almost, it kind of was kind of like Rick and Morty now I think about it, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, you have like a alternate, Rick realities come in, robot Rick come in, and he's trying to warn him about the future and this and that. And
The brain was a lot nicer in this episode.
Yeah, I thought he was not evil as he was in other episodes.
Yeah, but again, it kind of like telegraphs to the point, like, okay, the future brain is been through stuff and apparently is, I don't know if he didn't even seem as evil. Even future brain didn't seem as evil as the one in the previous episode.
Yeah, exactly. I thought I was like,
but I did like how the brain kind of, says, don't hurt my friend Pinky. He acknowledges Pinky as his friend and stuff like that. So, it's just kind of weird to see the brain going in that direction. And even though I just get the feeling that we're going to see this future version of Brain return, along, probably in the second season, I would assume.
Yeah, not in the first season. I'll tell you that.
Okay, good. But anyway, it was fine. It's I think the writers, if anything, of the reboot, I think we've noticed that they tend to work a little harder, perhaps, on the Pinky and the Brain, or at least it just comes easier for them to write for Pinky and the Brain than it does for the Warners. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and get to our last little segment here. It's called The Incredible Gnome in People's Mouths.
CEO Michael Benton, Silicon Valley venture capitalist, egomaniac, searching for everlasting life. Then a freak accident transforms his biological makeup, turning him into an angry gnome.
And The Incredible Gnome in People's Mouths was written by Jess Latcher, Andrew Barbeau, and Wellesley Wild, and it was directed by Brett Varon and Adriel Garcia. And this is a little bit like The Incredible Hulk, where the Hulk had, or I should say, it wasn't Bruce Banner in the original one; it was David Banner, I think, in the TV series. But he had to go from town to town helping people with their problems, and of course he would usually solve them eventually through smashing things, because you get angry. Well, it's kind of the same thing, except you have a gnome in your mouth. How does he get in your mouth? No one really knows, but he solves people's problems by speaking up for them, jumping out of their mouth, and yelling at the other people around them.
I think I'm in love with you.
Really? I think I'm falling for you too.
Are you kidding? You've known him for a week. What happened to that guy with the moped? He was cool.
It's all started with, they show this whole, how this gnome came to be, through this rich person wanted to live longer or something.
Mike Benton
wanted to live longer, but there was a malfunction and it turned him into a gnome. It was what it was. It's in this case, this woman, Marcia, is about to get married to this guy. And right before they get married, he jumps out of her mouth and says, the only reason he wants to marry you is because you have a pinball collection. And so they don't get married. And she says, thank you. And he goes off to help someone else.
You really saved me back there, gnome. Thank you.
No problem.
Where will you go now?
Wherever I'm needed.
And that's the end. So, what did you guys think of The Incredible Gnome in People's Mouths? This is our second new character segment of the reboot. What did you think about it? Nathan, let's start with you.
It reminded me of The Incredible Hulk, maybe Quantum Leap.
Which is basically
the ending. Yeah, which is basically
the ending was definitely The Incredible Hulk.
Incredible Hulk, yeah. He's just walking away and this music's playing. I think the same music from The Incredible Hulk are very similar.
Very, very similar, if not the same, yeah.
I got a Bionic Man vibe from it.
Yeah, I think I just saw an episode of The Incredible Hulk also on Riff Tracks. This is a great plug for Riff Tracks, this episode, because they have a new streaming service on Riff Tracks, where it's kind of like Netflix, but it's just called Friends, which is a horrible name for their service. But anyway, you get to stream like all their old shorts and some of the movies they've done. And one of the ones that they had was The Incredible Hulk I had not seen an episode of The Incredible Hulk since I was a little kid. So we watched it, and it starts off with kind of this whole origin story, a little bit like the $6 Million Man or something like that. But I think that's just how those two shows did stuff, like we're just going to give you the exposition in our theme song or opening theme each episode. Anyway, it was what it was. Kelly, what do you think about this Incredible Gnome thing?
The whole time watching, I'm like, what is this? What is this? I don't even know what I saw.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me. Freakazoid came to mind in this one, just because it was like the lawn gnomes kind of.
The lawn gnomes which is not my favorite Freakazoid segment at all.
No,
I like this probably better than the lawn gnomes one.
Wow,
maybe I don't know. The lawn gnome one went on a little too long.
The lawn gnomes I like just because it's just so weird. It doesn't even try to. It's so anti what you should do with a cartoon that I like it more than this. But the lawn gnomes was not one of the standout segments in Freakazoid.
It would have been a great segment if it was like 3 minutes. I feel like it was like a 10-minute segment or something.
Yeah, we get the point with lawn gnomes. But yeah, this one it was fine. I mean, I didn't hate the segment, but I wasn't like laughing really at it. I was just like going, okay. kind of thing. Would you like the Incredible Gnome in people's mouths to return next year?
No.
No for Kelly. And Nathan, what about you?
I could take it or leave it. I don't know.
Yeah, me too.
I'm fine. Like, it was one gross part where they show his hand, which I was like, I didn't want to see that. But
there wasn't as many gross moments in this episode.
In this whole episode, there weren't a lot of gross moments, which is probably why I liked it better than some of these other episodes.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised.
Well, let's go ahead and get to our water tower rating. Well, out of 5 water towers, how many water towers would you give this episode of the Animaniacs Reboot? Nathan, let's start with you.
Oh, no. I was hoping not to be first. Okay. I was torn between 3.5 and 4. I'm just going to say 4 because I feel like I'm not going to get a lot of great episodes. So this one had I really like the Pinky and the Brain segment. That's Not the Issue was fun. It was neat seeing a new segment for the Incredible Gnomes. Not my favorite segment, but it was new, so that's always fun. And then the whole musical thing at the beginning was fine. I have no issues with it. So
okay. And Kelly, what about you?
Oh, I think I'll go with 2.5. The half because of Pinky and the Brain. That was my favorite part. And I mean, nothing like offended me or, I didn't hate anything. I just, like I said, the first segment, it just wasn't that entertaining to me. I just kind of got bored. And then the gnome thing, it didn't even feel like it fit in this universe.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what that was about. And then the faux news segment was kind of cute. I mean, it was like we said, it had some cute little lines and some more Warner Brothers and Dot stuff. But the shining part of the whole episode was Pinky and the Brain.
Yeah, totally. I kind of agree with you, Kelly. There, the gnome, it didn't really feel like it should be in this show. It felt like it should be in a different show. And like the Starbucks and Cindy, as much as I didn't really like it, it at least felt like, okay, I could see this fitting into Animaniacs.
Well, because it's basically Pinky and the Brain and Elmira.
Yeah, that's true. But it dealt with a kid. It dealt with something that you're like, okay, I could see this being kind of a part of Animaniacs. This part, it just kind of felt like it could go into any cartoon.
Yeah,
in the world.
That's true. I definitely agree with that. Like,
yeah, it doesn't feel like it had to be in this show. So, and it's like, gosh, We got rid of Slappy Squirrel for this?
Yeah.
I mean, really? Come on, guys. If I had the choice, I think anybody in the world would obviously pick some of the original characters. Not saying you have to bring them all back, but come on. I mean...
The hippos can stay at home.
I'd rather have the hippos than the Incredible Gnome, even.
Well, I don't know about it.
I would.
About the same.
I want to see what they're doing. But I guess my main problem with a lot of the episode, it just, like I said, it just kind of fell. Even the Pinky and the Brain one, it just kind of felt like it was kind of going through some of the motions, but it wasn't really quite landing the jokes as much as I really hoped it would have. It really kind of felt like reading an issue of the Animaniacs comics once again, where I'm like, I'm smiling, I'm enjoying it, but am I really laughing out loud? Am I really enjoying it as much as like the original series? No, not at all. But it, like you said, it wasn't offensive or anything like that. I wasn't like going, oh, I hate this, that's too gross, or they're ruining the characters here or there. So I'll give it a 3, just because it's fine. But again, would I revisit it necessarily? No. It was just there. So there you go. Well, let's go ahead and get to our contact information. Nathan, where can people find you online?
Joey, I'm on Twitter, JangoFT. That's me.
All right. And Kelly, what about you?
I'm also on Twitter, Yoda Princess, YODAPRNCSS, or email me, Kelly at BigShinyRobot.com.
All right. And as for the Animanicast, we're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And, of course, over on our Patreon, patreon.com/Animanicast, you can become a patron and you can listen to bonus audio and bonus episodes of our show, which are creator commentary series with the creator of Animaniacs, Tom Ruger. We're going through every episode of the original series and doing commentary tracks, and it's so much fun. And we're learning new facts. We thought we knew it all. We went through the wikis. We thought we knew all this stuff. It's no.
This is stuff that you can't find anywhere, like this information. Exactly. Some of it.
So for just $4, you can get access to that tier right there. Or if you just want to give us a tip in the tip jar, you could throw $1 in there. Or if you really want to go a little bit extra and get some decals and other bonuses, you can even give $10 if you really feel so inclined. But any little bit of support is very much appreciated because it helps cover the costs of hosting the show, and we will hopefully be able to even improve it and make it even better through Patreon. So thank you, patrons, for all of your support. Well, and one more thing, the Discord channel, don't forget, RetroZap Discord channel. We're a proud member of the RetroZap Podcast Network. Head on over to discord.animanicast.com and you can talk to us about Animaniacs or any of the other folks over at RetroZap about anything pop culture. It's a great positive place to be online. So discord.animanicast.com. Well, that'll do it for today's episode. So for Nathan and Kelly, this is Joey saying good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
This podcast is not endorsed by Warner Brothers or Amblin Entertainment and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Animaniacs, Tiny Toon Adventures, Freakazoid, the Warner Brothers logo, all names, pictures, and sounds are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of the Animanicast unless otherwise indicated.
Like violence in children's television?
Yes, how do you feel about it?
Great!